It all comes down to this, the final round of the SRL TCR League. We head out around the Zandvoort circuit for round number 10. 2 races coming your way to decide each of the 4 class championships. It's going to be an amazing evening of racing here. We've been to Zandvoort within recent seasons. It has proved to be a great evening of racing. We return back here to Zandvoort, this time for the finale. It's going to be, as I say, a brilliant evening around this Zandvoort circuit. Each of the 4 championships have all but been decided, with some significant gaps between your championship leader and the chasing pack. It is looking like it is going to be all said and done heading into this evening, but just 2 more races until the season comes to a close. We've had 9 fantastic rounds of racing over the previous 9 weeks, and it all culminates here tonight at Circuit Zandvoort. 10 weeks ago, it kicked off at Donington Park. A victory overall for Dan Mould, and stepping into the pro field for this season, Daniel Downing looked to start his season strong. But it's been a season that has not gone Daniel Downing's way. After winning in that first week of asking, he's only taken 3 race wins throughout the course of this season, 2 of them coming in the opening 2 rounds, the previous one coming at Thruxton 2 weeks ago. Gordon Haig has shown some great pace in qualifying. He's been unable to replicate that in the races. It has been overall Kim Borkland, only 2 overall race victories, but 5 class victories over the course of this season. He leads the Pro Championship standings. With that being said, here are your championship standings heading into the final round of asking. 47 points clear at the front of the order. Kim Borkland has 930 points. It is not by any means his championship, but it is his championship to lose. Daniel Downing needs to be on the top of his game to take the championship this week, away from Kim Borkland, of course. As I look through, there is no Kim Borkland out there, which means that Downing needs to be on the top of his game to be taking those points. The championship could be his. It could be Gordon Haig, who has been up there through this season. 2 overall wins going the way of Gordon Haig, getting his first overall win at Race 1 Thruxton 2 weeks ago. Race 1 last week, he went on for a 2nd win. Can Haig take a 3rd win in the season here at Zandvoort off of the back of what would be a 5th pole position if he can get there? Haig could still take this championship. Ben Oucher very much in the distance in this one. He sits 4th position in the championship standings. He is over 100 points down. You can all but discount Ben Oucher. You can definitely discount behind. Who is going to end up in top in that championship fight? Well, it has to go the way of John Brown, because there is no Dan Mould out there today. So Brown will get points onto the board to go ahead of Mould. McIntosh holds 7th in the pro standings ahead of Mark Draper. Braden Sagasser sits 9th, before the gap down to Jack Brown. Of course, a shame not to have Brown throughout the course of this entire season. The back end of your pro standings is Samuel Sproul. We then jump down to the next class, and that's your semi-pro field. And look at the gap there. In the semi-pro field, it's absolutely massive. 77 points separate Bradley Sellers and Tony Walker. Sellers has got to take this championship. He's 15th in this practice session going on in the background. That will still be more than enough points to take home that semi-pro championship. Tony Walker are looking to hold hold on to second position ahead of Carl Hardy. As I look across at the order, they are both here today. They are going for that second position in class, especially ahead of two Hydro Race machines. Ronald de Jong, Demis Titcher, a nice little new livery I saw on de Jong out there earlier on. See if it's on his teammate as well when we get down on track. Daniel Lewis is sitting 6th in the championship, almost 100 points back from Titchler, who's then trying to hold on to Peter Van Gool. Now, Van Gool's had a bit of a mixed battle of a season. Beginning of the season, he was in the Honda. It was tough. It was a really challenging season for him. He abandoned the Honda. He took the penalty points with it, remember? And he jumped across to the Audi. Since he's jumped across to the Audi, Peter Van Gool has gone on to take 2 class victories, Snetterton and Thruxton, round 7 and round 8. Absolutely fantastic for Van Gool. And of course, Carl Hardy also in the Audi, teammates with Van Gool, has also taken 2 victories in the last couple of weeks, but he's taken 3 victories over the course of the season. Round 4, Silverstone race number 1. Round 8, Thruxton race 2. Round 9, Mid-Ohio race 1. We'll see what it is like for him. We then continue down then. We've got Daniel Lewis in 6th position ahead of that Peter Van Gool, as I say. JB DeJay sitting in 8th ahead of the 2 breakdancers machines, fighting out for the championship between themselves, Walters and Garrity, until we've got Marco Mikkelainen, Dek Crowther and Simon Moldekleed. That's your top 2 classes in this one. Good evening to everyone watching us, whether that is over on the SRL TV YouTube channel or on either of the Joseph Wright broadcasting channels. Welcome in tonight. Nick over on the YouTube, good evening and welcome in here to the final round of the SRL TCR League for season number 11. If you're watching out there, please do remember that we head into season number 12 next Friday. There are no pre-season events for season number 12. I am taking a holiday in the middle, so do blame me. We have 2 non-championships events in the middle of the season, so no pre-season. Get yourself signed up for season number 12 that starts next Friday. All the information in the SRL TCR Discord. You can check that out. Links in the SRL TV YouTube description if you're watching over on the YouTube on the Joseph Wright broadcasting channel. There's also a link to the Discord in there. If you're watching over on the Twitch, then just check out the QR code that pops up onto the screen when we change across to some of our different screens here. Right then, let's continue looking through the championship standings because we've got 2 more to look through. The Pro-Am field are your next, and it is Thomas Coombe at the top of the order there. 52 points separating himself and David Price. Remember that Coombe was in the amateur standings in season 10. He was fighting hard for the championship with Vigard Olsen Leah. They've both stepped up into the Pro-Ams, and Thomas Coombe has put in the work. He is at the top of the order, looking like this could be his championship season this season. He is out there 3rd fastest of your Pro-Ams, 10th overall, quicker and crucially than both David Price and Lucas Henschel. In fact, I'm looking there and I cannot see Henschel's name, which is a real shame because the final week is not a drop week. But David Price is out there. He's 16th compared to Coombe's 10th right now. Then we got Lucas Henschel, as I say. He will most likely hold on to 3rd position, but the final week of asking is not going to be a drop week. It is going to count. So if you get 0 points, that counts towards your championship. It really does affect us towards the end of the season here. Paul Hurley sits 4th in the championship, 19 points, I should say, clear of Josh Taylor. It is Chris London in 6th position. And then last season's amateur champion, Vigard Olsen Leah. He was at the top of the order early doors this season in the Pro-Ams. Throughout the course of this season, he slowly slipped further and further back. He's not been here throughout every race this season, and he's not had the best of races each time. He's fallen down to 7th position. Marcus Gesdow is in 8th place. It is then Stuart Gibbons in 9th. And Dammy Herbert topping out your top 10 in the championship. Alan McCain at the back end of the field. And finally, in your 4 classes, last but not least, it is your amateur field. Matt Pearce leading that one by almost 50 points. Over the course of this season, Matt Pearce has taken 9 class victories. His first one coming at round 4, Silverstone race 1. He went 7 races back to back. He was not here at Mid-Ohio last week, which took away a couple of race victories that he could have taken. We will see tonight. He said he's not had much practice. He doesn't think he'll be going out in qualifying and putting the laps on the board. We shall have to wait and see, because his lap times are there ahead of Luke James and Christian Larson in the AMs. But Torburn Mail has got some huge amount of pace right now. 12th position in the amateur field. Absolutely fantastic for Mail. Continuing down championship order then, massive jump back to Chris Evans in 4th position. Luke James running around in 5th. Harvard Hafstad is 6th position in the championship ahead of Kevin Marshall, and Joshua Syme in 8th. Scott Malcolm holds 9th, and Lewis McCaig holds out the top 10. Back of the order then was Shamoy Samuel and Andy Littler. We are preparing to get down onto qualifying then. As practice does come to a close, we can confirm that in your championship standings, I think it was expected early doors, of course, partners together, Kim Borkland and Gordon Haig, they are over 500 points clear at the top of the championship order in the Sim Racing Norway by Polyakemi machine. Of course, there's a lot of Sim Racing Norway's machines out there, but the Polyakemi machines are the ones at the top of the order. Hydro Race Racing Forces are currently 2nd. That's De Jong and Titchler. Keep an eye out for them. But of course, flying up the order as of late, Result Clothing Team. They're up into 3rd position in the championship. There is potential for 2nd. They are fighting to hold 3rd ahead of SRL Green, John Brown, Daniel Lewis in that one. We'll have to keep an eye in each of those ones. Right then, we get ready for qualifying. 15 minutes on the board, and all of our drivers are going to be heading out there together. The last time we were here at Zandvoort, we had a bit of a gathering in the exit of pit lane here, a bit of cars coming together. Not this time, however. Carl Hardy, one of the drivers that have really stepped up their game in the second half of the season with his teammates, and Peter Van Gool. They've both just found a huge amount of time in the Audi since they've jumped across into that Audi machine for this season of competition. So we'll have to see what they are able to do in the final round of competition as well, and going forward into season number 12, because I think heading into season number 12, drivers are going to be just taking a step back, thinking about the car that they're in, thinking about maybe their approach to each of these races. And we've got a nice field of drivers already signed up. 26 drivers have signed up out of the potential 50. Remember, those sign-up spaces will fly out quick over the next week, so make sure that you get yourself signed up. We see returns of big names, obvious names in Paul Hurley, Daniel Lewis, John Brown. We expect them to come back. Ben Gibbons is out there, signed up once again. He didn't get down there on track this season, though, so hopefully we'll see him in season 12. Thomas Coombe is back out. So glad. The driver looking to take the Pro-Am Championship will be back next season as well. Peter Van Gool, we will see him out there again, as will Carl Hardy. Good to see that both of them, they've found a lot of pace. They'll be back out on track next season. Some other big names, Matt Pearce dominating your amateur field. He'll be back out there again. Familiar names in JB Dejay, Dan Mould, multiple champion. Dan Mould will be back out. Craig Walters, Tony Walker, Chris London. Lots of familiar names out there. New names as well. Denny Wood, Colden Batt, Nett DeWiller, Benjamin Archer heading out there as well. Some more newer ones getting signed up throughout today as well. So just get yourself in on that one. It's going to be a great season. Kicks off next Friday. We are going to be heading out for season number 12. If you're watching for the first time and you're just joining us for the first time, SRL TV, hit that subscribe button. We're live every single Friday for the SRL TCR League. Make sure you're joining us from 9:15 p.m. BST. If you're watching on either of the Joseph White broadcasting channels, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. We are live again tonight at the end of the SRL TV, so stick around. We'll be out live at 11:15 BST for the first round on the Matt Malone Patreon League. That heads up until midnight, so we are here all evening long. Make sure you're sticking around. We watch Carl Hardy then as he gets around on his first lap of asking. I'm trying to get the information box at the bottom. For some reason, it's not working across this evening. I do apologise. But we are about to see lap times going onto the board around the circuit here, because we've got some drivers, including Gordon Haig, coming across the timing line now. They will be putting their lap times on the board. Haig has taken the previous 2 pole positions. He's taken 4 this season, as that is a big side from Carl Hardy. He finds himself around at the chicane. That is not how he wanted his first lap to go. John Brown comes across the timing line here. As we will once again see if we can get some of this bond information. There we go, we've got it, as he goes across the timing line. In fact, you know what? Driver who really impressed me in practice was Torburn Mail. He was very high up the order, an amateur driver finding themselves at the top end of the order. Not a good opening lap, but we were on board with him when we go on to the second lap of asking in this qualifying session for the Amateur Championship contender. He's in a far distance with Christian Larson ahead of him, and then obviously right at the very top is Matt Pierce. We shall have to see how it goes out. I'm trying to see if I do see Pierce out there on the track. I do. He said he might not have gone down on the track with limited practice in this session, but he is out there in qualifying. We'll see what he is able to do as we head to the back end of the circuit from Torburn Mail. I love the undulation of the Zandvoort circuit. Also how close that gravel is to the outside of each of these corners. You just push it a little bit too much, duck your wheel ins there. You are going to be dragging yourself down just a little bit. And with how close these races can get, we're going to see some cars lose out, especially if they run slightly wide into this corner here. Pick up that gravel. Look how close it is on the outside. That is going to hinder you all the way down towards the chicane. Miss your braking point here. You're going to be cutting that chicane. We're going to see a lot of gravel on the circuit across the races through this chicane, as you can already see here in qualifying. We've already got a lot of gravel being kicked up onto track. Gordon Haig finds even more time. A reminder to you out there that might be joining us for the first time, your blue driver names and, blue driver numbers are your pros, your green are your semi-pros, your purple are your pro-ams, your red are your amateurs. We come across the timing line here for Torburn Mail. Let's see what he is able to do. An improvement, a good improvement for him. Obviously, a very unrepresentative first lap time. He goes all the way up to 16th position there, the highest of all of your amateur drivers. Matt Pierce has gone second in your amateur drivers, and as you can see, they've just filed in next to each other as well, so we do need to keep an eye on that one. Can Ronald de Jong, oh, this is a good time, look at that lovely new livery on de Jong's machine. We see the Hydro Race machine, of course, obviously every season we see them down. We see them in a variety of championships as well, and that is his teammate running the same livery behind. A really nice update. They've changed their paint scheme only a couple of times. Right at the end of the season for the finale here, Ronald de Jong, Demis Titchler in the Hydro Racing Forces machines. Teammated again this season. Of course, last season, they were not teammates with each other. They'd not gone their separate ways, but Titchler partnered up with another driver, and de Jong partnered up with... he partnered up with Kim Borkland, actually, didn't he? Yes. So he partnered up with Kim Borkland in a mishmash team that they created. But this season, de Jong, Titchler back together again under the Hydro Racing Forces banner. Let's see what they are able to do in this session. De Jong comes down pit lane. The Pro-Ams, all of the Pro-Ams that have put in lap times are quicker than all bar 2 of your semi-pros. Remember, your semi-pro field is your faster field. They're starting to mix themselves in now. Peter Van Gool has just jumped himself up to second in class. Remember what I was saying about Van Gool? He didn't have the best of speeds at the beginning, but he certainly has picked up more speed once he's jumped across into the Audi, and he's really putting together some good results, not just alongside being better, you know, getting a car that handles better. He is proving that it has worked for him. Really good advantage. You know, he took the 75 penalty points, but he has earned so many more points since jumping across to the Audi. 100% worth it. No Paul Hurley here tonight either, which is a shame in that pole position machine, of course, and moving house and rig in bits. I always find that when you move house, the rig should be the first thing that is assembled. Who needs a sofa? Who needs a bed? Everyone needs a racing rig. That's what I say. It is a real shame not to have Paul here today, but he will be back for season number 12. Round number 1 in a week's time. We head to Suzuka for the first round of Asking. A great calendar for season number 12 as well. We've also got a driver choice in the middle of all of that as well, but make sure you join us next week for Suzuka. We go to Zolder, which will be a great one for round number 2. And for the first time, I get to commentate on a race in the TCRs around Road Atlanta. That's going to be a brilliant one. An interesting layout of Daytona, the moto layout for round number 5. And as I say, round number 8 towards the end of the season is going to be a choice, I should say, a driver choice, 6 tracks on the list to choose there. And then we head to Brands Hatch, Okayama, final rounds of the season. Going to be absolutely fantastic season number 12. And it is... whoever's going to win the championship here this evening, are they going to be able to defend it, the overall championship next season? Whoever wins the semi-pros are obviously going to move up to the pros. Whoever wins the pro-ams are going to move into the semi-pros, and whoever wins the ams are going to move into the pro-ams. So it's all about who is going to defend the overall, that pro championship. Who is going to take it? I must say, that is a lovely name to see back out here on track. The SRL Rosso machine. There's only one of them again, because there's no Dan Mould. However, it is lovely to see the number 13 of Jack Brown on track once again here in the Lancia. And what a lovely little paint scheme he has on that one. I like the font of it. I don't know what it is. That black and that red really goes well at the front there. De Jong, the fastest of your semi-pros. Is it a surprise that first and second position in your semi-pros are both home drivers here at Zandvoort? Tichler also racing around his home circuit. He sits third in the semi-pros. Your entire semi-pro top 3 right now, the ones on track for a podium in race 1, are all from the Netherlands. I mean, I think that says something, doesn't it? We're looking for a triple Netherlands podium in the semi-pro field. What a run, though, from our Pro-Ams. Chris London is all the way up in 4th, 0.06 of a second quicker than John Brown at the moment as well. So some really great results. And that is Chris Evans, who slotted himself into 26th position. He's joined in the middle of this qualifying session. So we'll get those loaded back on the side there. There we are. So we can see Evans jumping in. Nice to see him down there again in the Lancia. Again, some nice mixes in the Lancias alongside the Audis. Of course, a couple of Hondas, Garrity and Mail in the Hondas. Mail is your fastest amateur. And I must say, thank you, amateurs. You finally followed what we expect. You are finding yourself behind most of the other field instead of ahead of most of the other field. Matt Pierce, who finds yourself up in the semi-pro field of drivers sometimes, he's found himself down in 24th position at the moment. It's third in class, but it is enough to take that championship with where Mail and Larson are at the moment as well. Both those closest in the championship. This is going to go the way of Matt Pierce, as long as he's getting the points on the board. And in each of your championships as well, it's very much, it's just going to go to the end. The only one that I think is not going to stay the same is your pros, if I'm not mistaken. I do believe it is going to go the way, potentially, of Downing. Haig has a chance, but I do think that Daniel Downing is going to be there. I'm looking here. First position is 75 points. We remind ourselves of the Pro Championship gap here, because this is the championship we're looking at. That gap is less than 50 points. If Daniel Downing is to win, he takes the lead of the championship. Daniel Downing won the semi-pro championship last year. He is on the back of a championship. He's stepped into the pros. He has a chance. But Gordon Haig equally can take it here. I'm going to have to do some live maths here because we normally at the end of the season, we stick around a little bit, get those championship results all confirmed by the team. We cannot do that tonight. We have to run off, unfortunately, at our usual time at 11 o'clock this evening. So I'm going to manually do some points calculations throughout this evening. I think it's the best way that we go through our pro championship. So I'm just writing down their points here so I can keep an eye on those points as we go through this evening. I've got a points list for myself here that I am also going to be looking at and making sure that I keep up to date with everything. I need to bring you the absolute live championship standings, as it were, throughout the evening in that pro field, because it has to go the way of Downing or Haig, I have to say. With Borkland not here, it has to go the way of Downing or Haig. There's no other opportunity. In your other three championships, I think they're going to stay the same. I just think with all the other drivers involved tonight, it's just going to stay the same. Bradley Sellers, he's got almost 80 points. I think he's going to do it. Thomas Coombe, he has 50 points, he's going to do it. Matt Pierce has got 50 points. I think he's going to do it. I don't think there are going to be many, if any, changes throughout any of the other classes, especially no changes at the top is my overall prediction out of this one. But we shall just have to keep an eye on each of them and how our drivers do throughout race number 1. And we will do a little bit of mass calculation in between race 1 and race number 2 so that we can figure out going into the final race if there are any confirmed champions, which I think there is potential to be some confirmed champions into race 2. But as it stands, everything is up in the air. Qualifying is no longer up in the air because it comes to a close here around Zandvoort, and the grid is going to be set. For the final time, qualifying comes to an end, and Gordon Haig goes 3 in a row in qualifying. It is 5 pole positions this season for the championship contender, Gordon Haig. This is how the grid is going to start for race number 1. Haig is going to be on pole position with Ben Oucher behind, Daniel Downing in 3rd, and your fastest semi-pro, Demis Titchler, in his home race, goes 4th. John Brown will start in 5th, ahead of your fastest Pro-Am in 6th position. Chris London will be 7th, and it is currently a 1-2-3 of Netherlands drivers in the Netherlands in your semi-pro field. Ronald de Jong ahead of Peter van Gool, 8th and 9th. Tony Walker starting in 10th position. Jack Brown, it's nice to see him out there once again this season. He starts 11th ahead of Vigard Olsen-Leah. David Price will be starting in 13th, and Stuart Gibbons in 14th. Kyle Hardy will be 15th on the grid ahead of Craig Walters. Bradley Sellers will start alongside Daniel Lewis. That's 17th and 18th position respectively. JB Deshay will be starting in 19th, and Dec Crowther rounding out your top 20. Fraser Garrity will be starting 21st, your last of your semi-pro drivers. Torben Mayo, your pole sitter in your amateurs, ahead of championship contenders Christian Larson and Matt Pierce. It looks like it is going to go Matt Pierce's way, though. He's only a couple of places back. And then we have a look at the back end of your field. It will be Chris Evans in 25th, Josh Taylor in 26th, and Luke James at the rear end of the field. We have a look then at the start of this one, because we are going to have 20 minutes on the board for race number 1. It is going to be about 12 laps of asking is what my predictions are saying here for our drivers in the first race of the day. Remember that race number 2 will see a top 10 invert, and it will see a 25-minute race. So keep an eye out on that one as we get ready to go racing here. 20 minutes will be on the board for the final time of race number 1. 2 more times and we will be done. for the season. We have a look at the start-finish line here. We wait for the last couple of drivers to get themselves onto the grid. 20 minutes will be on the board. Will it confirm any of our 4 class championships? There is, of course, always opportunity. Until you are mathematically out of it, drivers are never going to back out of it. So I do think we're going to see a lot of them pushing here, trying to take whatever they can in race results. We've got 27 cars out there for the final round of the season. It will be headed for the 3rd time in a row, the 5th time this season by Gordon Haig. The lights are up. And we are green for round number 10. The final time in race 1, up towards turn number 1. Coombe hits the inside pit wall as we go through turn 1. 3 wide, it's sideways from Jack Brown. He gets himself straight another side, and it is David Price who finds himself off the track. Not what your Pro-Am driver, will be wanting. He was looking to try and potentially take a fight in the championship in this final round of asking. It won't go the way for that Pro-Am driver. He's to the rear end of the field. We see side by side throughout half of the field here towards the front. Gordon Haig keeps Daniel Downing at bay. Everyone else settles in single file until you get to the very back there, side by side. Price getting past Evans in the background. That was Larson on the rear end of Carl Hardy, who has not had a good launch. He's fallen all the way down to 21st position here. Chris London's gone off the circuit because it's 3, 4 cars, 5 cars even, all fighting for the same bit of tarmac right now. Titchler is the driver pulling away. In fact, it's Ronald de Jong is the driver next to Peter van Gool. They're fighting second in class. Remember, it's your 3 Dutch drivers inside your podium in the semi-pro field. Is it going to stay that way? Chris London's trying to get himself involved. It's a little bit of a nudge there with Ronald de Jong. De Jong loses a position, and that is going to invite Tony Walker to try and take the podium position away. The long way round through the penultimate turn. Walker has to back in and wait it out for the time being. We come off of the opening lap of the race, and it is going to be Gordon Haig leading the way as we jump down towards turn number 1. A big gap between 5th and 6th position, but you can see here Van Gool looking to try and hold on to second place in class. It's 6-0 the rule. Chris London just behind is leading your Pro-Am field of drivers. We go again for a moment side by side, drivers settling themselves down single file. Matt Pearce has issues. The leader in your amateur championship, broken rear right suspension. He will have to come down pit lane. He will be out of race number 1, which is a real shame for the man trying to take the championship here. We go and have a look back at what happened here to Pearce. It was contact on the exit with James, and then it was a slam into the wall that broke the suspension, which is a real shame, as I say, for Matt Pearce. He will be out of race number 1. We'll have to see what he can do into race number 2. We come out of the turn number 8, I believe that is. I'm up towards the chicane now. Chris London gets overtaken by de Jong, and now has Tony Walker looking to try and make his way around the outside. He can't quite do so. Walker's going to want that to be done because he wants to get past Chris London and fight your remaining semi-pro drivers. They take their points from overall race results, of course, but they are still fighting inside their classes for those final championship positions. Vigard Olsen Lear dropping off the rear end of that train. He was for a moment under attack from Craig Walters, but they have sorted themselves out in all of that. Gordon Haig almost a second at the front right now. That will be giving him 75 points. But second for Daniel Downing will be giving him 70. Some good points going his way. This is without bonus points as well, of course. So I'm not calculating bonus points, pole positions, fast laps, anything like that. So everything that I say will be provisional, of course. If it's only a couple of points between them, I'll have to hold off on my announcement until we know for sure. Fight going out through the exit of the carousel section, that massive banked corner to the left. Some drivers opting to go the tighter line, some going the wider line. Of course, the exit speed on the wider line. Really good, too wide from Thomas Coombe. He's off the circuit. At the bottom of the hill, Thomas Coombe drops 5 positions in 2 corners. It scatters the cars ahead. Vigard Olsen Leah trying to get it around the outside here. As that sideways from Coombe now. Walters goes deep as well. He loses a number of positions. Garrity comes through. Look how many cars are just trying to find any position they can. It's the final time they're going out racing this evening for season number 11. They are going out at it hard. 2 races, and race number 1, the first 5 minutes, there's always been one car side by side with another car at some point or other over the course of the race. We come through the final couple of corners. Ben Oucher is looking to try and take the fight towards Sean Brown. Hey, goes fastest. Daniel Downing says, no thank you, I'll take that purple lap if you don't mind. Can I try now to close the gap that is between us? Because we're a quarter of the way through the race, and that gap is a second as it stands. It is too big for Daniel Downing's liking. It will still be 70 points away of Daniel Downing, which will still put him into the championship lead. The gap between Downing and Hay going into this evening was 18 points. So we just need to keep an eye on the gap between them. As it stands, I believe with bonus points, that gap's probably down to about 10. So we just got to keep an eye on that one. Race 2 is going to be the deciding in the Pro Championship. Who is going to come out on top? Gordon Haig or Daniel Downing? A real shame for Borkland, who's been up at the top all season long, and he's going to lose it out, not able to attend here, the final race of the season. And with it not counting as a drop week, that is the biggest issue of all for Borkland. If it counted as a drop week, he'd be champion. He would be champion. But unfortunately, it just won't go his way this season. Once again, he will be a runner-up. He'll be trying again, I'm sure, next season, see if he can finally find his way to the front. Ben Oucher on the rear end of John Brown, fighting for 3rd position. 13 minutes left on the clock here, which means that we are looking at running another 8 laps or so as we go across the timing line. De Jong wants to take the fight towards Van Gool. It's the fight for second. It could be a fight for a 1-2 for Hydro Race Racing Forces in the semi-pro field. But De Jong has to stay behind his fellow countryman of Peter Van Gool as it stands. We come into the banked left-hander here. Slightly different racing lines. Van Gool, the slightly lower line. De Jong once again all over the rear end. We've seen accidents in the past happen through this section with cars just being a bit too aggressive. De Jong not going aggressive through there in trying to go for an overtake. He pushed right to the back end of Van Gool's machine. But he knew that there wasn't going to be an opportunity to make that overtake work. As it stood through that section of the circuit, he'll be thinking again, potentially up towards turn number 1. It's always your best overtaking opportunity. You have got into the chicane, of course, as well, but I think that gap coming onto this back straight, just a bit too big between Van Gool and De Jong. 0.4 of a second. They both run nicely through. A little bit of gravel being kicked up, then some grass from Tony Walker a couple of places back as well. As he ran just slightly wide onto the back straight. Again, look how close De Jong is able to get onto the rear end of Van Gool as we come out of the chicane towards the final 2 corners here. Peter Van Gool, 0.2 of a second ahead. A bit of a kick out on the rear end. He then catches the gravel. That's going to make him slow out of the final corner. Ronald De Jong is going to have the opportunity here. It's straight away defensive from Van Gool. De Jong moves to the left-hand side. It's going to be side by side in front. It's side by side between London and Walker behind. but De Jong tries to carry it all the way around the outside of Van Gool. Walker trying to do the same and does it on London. De Jong still side by side with Van Gool. Van Gool gets a nose ahead. He's on the outside line here, which should give you the speed on the exit, but De Jong closes the door. There's contact. Van Gool's off the circuit, and he takes out De Jong. Peter Van Gool just did not want to relinquish the position, and it causes them both to tumble. What an absolutely horrendous move to make on the exit. Yes, you've got the overlap, but he was very much behind. There was no door to open. Van Gool falls to 6th in class, 5th for De Jong, and there's contact behind. Van Gool, he's out. He decides enough is enough. And that was Brown swerving to the left. But, oh, that is a real shame. That was Van Gool swerving to the left. This was exactly the same time. Let's see if we can figure out what's happened here. Here we go. Look at this. The door has closed. De Jong is very much on the racing line. I don't know where Peter Van Gool was going in this. He's off the circuit, and he forces himself back on by driving into Titchler. I think that is a desperate move for a man who wanted to hold a position that just was not that. If he just waited behind, he definitely could have got the toe at the end of the lap and gone for a move back. That was a real shame to see Van Gool getting involved in that one. And of course for De Jong, it's a shame, but De Jong is still in the race. He's 12th though, and now he is trying to fight with Bradley Sellers, who's leading the Semi-Pro Championship. Should take the championship here as we go into the second race. He should have the championship confirmed his way. He was already a huge amount of points ahead, so I do think that it will be his championship this season for Bradley Sellers in the semi-pro field. It's certainly not as dominating as last season. Of course, Daniel Downing taking that championship very early in. Jack Brown also out of this evening's event as well at the back with a penalty as he came down pit lane to sort out his car after contact with Van Gool. It's a big moment in the final round of asking. You were always going to expect it though. The tensions are high for every single championship point that you can possibly get at this stage. It does mean that Tony Walker is now up to second in class. Dek Crowther's up to third. It does mean that Vegard Olsen-Lear sits in prime position for race number 2, because right now he sits in the invert pole position. Although he's started there before, he's never finished there. He's always taken out, and I'll try that again. Whenever he starts from pole position in race number 2, Vegard Olsen-Lear has been taken out. It's almost a way of life. So maybe he'll be hoping, let's not get this invert pole. Maybe I can get 9th position and start second instead. We'll have to wait and see. De Jong looks to the inside of Sellers. He knows that move is a bit too far gone, though. Craig Walters to the outside of Daniel Lewis, trying to hold it all the way on the outside to hold on to 13th place. Lewis, though, has the inside. Walters goes later onto the brakes into turn 2. There's a nudge! And Lewis way up the track there. Walters down the track. It doesn't look like either of them have got major damage from that one, which is brilliant news. Because the last thing either of them would have wanted to pick up a bit of damage. Lewis, though, looking very aggressive as he comes to. It does look like that car is now looking a bit more unstable. I think that contact might have done something to the suspension on the left-hand side, potentially. The distance between their car, it does feel like a bit too... it was a bit too big to be generic contact. I think there might have been some netcode involved in that one. We'll have to have another look in just a moment. Ronald de Jong once again over the rear end here of Sellers, seeing if he can try and make that move. Daniel Lewis once again going for the overtake on Craig Walters. It's going to be the long way round into the chicane. If he can keep a nose in, it will help him out. He can't. He has to stay behind. But look at the speed! Almost into the tyre barrier. He's off the circuit though, and Thomas Coombs says, I'll have some of this if you don't mind. He goes to the outside, a little bit of gravel being kicked up. It's now side by side between Lewis and Coombs. Fraser Garrity getting his nose involved as well. He's going to push Lewis up towards turn number 1. Coombs is on the outside. Coombs just wants to stay nice and clean. He's going for the Pro-Am Championship. He wants to fight for some good points, but he's not going to fight too hard. In fact, he lets Lewis and Garrity through. John Brown loses out to Ben Oucher, and Oucher does it the long way round. Through the back corner, that outside working well. I was a little bit nudged there as Oucher pulls himself back onto the track at the end of the curbing, but both drivers face the right way at the end of that one. 5 minutes still left to go. Battles up and down the field. Viggold Olsen Leah very much in a world of his own at the moment. A second ahead, a second behind. It looks like he is going to take the invert pole position. Good news, bad news for him. We'll have to see what it goes like in race number 2 if he does start at the front of the order. Ronald de Jong over the rear end of Bradley Sellers, looking just to try and take 4th position now after the fight early on for second contact with Van Gool. We do see, I believe, Van Gool back out on track at the very least. No, I do not. I should clarify, he's still down track. Pit lane, but that's because Matt Pearce is a lap down. So is Christian Larson, so it just caught me off on my timing. Jack Brown and Peter Van Gool both in the session. They'll both be starting race 2 by the looks of it, but they are at the back of the order. De Jong once again over Sellers here. We come up towards the final turn. As we come through, are we going to see an opportunity for Ronald de Jong to take the position away from the semi-pro championship leader? We head up towards turn number 1. The toe is there for de Jong. Is he going to be able to make the move? It's about a 1/10 of a second. It's a far way back to try and make the move from, but he does it! De Jong dives to the inside. Sellers, spooked, goes wide. I think that definitely was going to be Sellers' corner, but now de Jong has been able to place his nose in, and he's on the preferred line. Through the left-hander, Sellers really tight and low. Ronald de Jong moves up to 11th position overall. It is 4th place in class for the Hydro Race Racing Forces machine. Tony Walker holding on to 6th position is just keeping at bay your lead fight in your Pro-Am fields. Let's have a little bit of a look here because we've not focused on Chris London and Stuart Gibbons so far. They are 7th and 8th overall, but 1st and 2nd in the Pro-Am class. Can Chris London hold on? Gibbons look to the inside there. London has taken 3 class victories this season. Stuart Gibbons 1. Gibbons managed to do his class victory, if we look back, all the way back at Mugello, round number 2. The last time Chris London was to win, oh yeah, that was last week, Mid-Ohio. 3 in a row. He won both races at Thruxton and race 1 last week. Will he be knocked from that very strong race victory streak that he's on in race 1s at the very least by Stuart Gibbons, who has not won since round 2. He's going to push hard to try and take this straight away, looking towards the right-hand side. But by doing that so early, he gave up the toe. Is he waiting for next lap, the white flag lap, to try and make that move? There is an opportunity, of course, for Gibbons to try and make the move in towards turn number 1, and doing it on the final lap is going to put yourself in the best position to not get re-attacked. Luke James won race number 2 last week. He leads the amateur field once again today, ahead of Torburn Mail. Christian Larson and Matt Pearce, the top 2 in the amateur standings. Yeah, they're down in 24th and 25th. This championship's Matt Pearce's. There's no doubt about that at this stage of asking. As we go into race number 2, of course, the top 10 will be inverted. The rest of the field will line up as they finish. So we just got to keep an eye out on that one, because we will, of course, see our amateurs in Larson and Pearce needing to get past DeJay, Hardy, Price, all to get back up to the amateurs, or even seeing those drivers get past the amateurs, which can always mix things up a bit, especially as some of our amateur drivers, they still learning how to get around in these big field of cars. So sometimes they do take it a little bit slowly, go some wide lines, and it does invite some audacious overtaking opportunities from a mixture of classes as well as their own class as well. Fraser Garrity in the mix of a battle here. He's got Daniel Lewis ahead of him, and then he's got 4th place, championship leader in the Pro-Ams behind. We saw they all change positions earlier on, of course, and that is how it lays at the moment with Lewis ahead of Garrity, and then Coombe just coming in behind, looking to take the points with him to try and take this championship fight with him. And like I said, I will do without bonus points. I will just try and do race results to see if championships are confirmed at the end of this one. We'll have to just give me a moment as I try to talk and do maths at the same time between the two races. What that does mean is we'll hold off on interviews until the very end. Torban Mail wants to try and take the lead away from Luke James here in the fight. For the lead of the amateurs, there's contact! James stays straight. Mail goes for another dive to the inside. Chris Evans is now thinking, I don't mind if I do, I'll get involved in this one. Let me have a little piece. Mail drops off the lead fight, but Chris Evans now could take the fight to 2nd position as our midfield train of drivers continue to come through with Gibbons behind Chris London. It's 3/10 of a second. He gets the tighter line onto the back straight. Could Gibbons have an opportunity into the chicane? That gap's just too big, isn't it? I think it's going to be too big for Gibbons to have a last lap lunge. Craig Walters, though, could lunge on Bradley Sellers here to the outside of the chicane. Walters will get the position. Sellers will let him take that position for the time being. But Gordon Haig takes victory. Crucial points for him. Downing in 2nd and Oucher in 3rd position. John Brown takes 4th, and it is home race. Demis Titcher wins the semi-pro field. Tony Walker takes home 2nd. Chris London wins the Pro-Am field ahead of Stuart Gibbons. Crowther rounding out the semi-pro podium. And Vigard Olsen-Leah rounding out your Pro-Am podium. It will be pole position in race 2 for Vigard Olsen-Leah. Out of the final turn, can Luke James hold on to race victory in your amateurs? He can. It's 1st for James, 2nd for Mail, and 3rd for Chris Evans. Race number 1 is said and done. The championship points are going to be on the board for each of our drivers. And as we head into our warm-up between the two, let me get our championship fight sorted. Let's and see where all of our drivers are going to be. Of course, it is going to be an additional 75 points just from the race for Gordon Haig, 70 for Daniel Downing. That means Daniel Downing is going to be sat on 853 points, whereas Gordon Haig is going to be sat on 940 points. 13 points between them, not including any bonus points. Let's figure those ones out as we go into this one, actually. Bonus points, fastest lap per class is 3 points. Who got the fastest lap out of those two? Or if it was any of those two. Fastest lap in class went the way of Daniel Downing. Extra 3 points for Daniel Downing puts him on 956. Pole position, though, goes the way for 5 bonus points for Gordon Haig, which means 945. Provisionally, there are 11 points between Daniel Downing and Gordon Haig at the top of this championship. Auckland has fallen down behind them, which is a shame. Let's get our official race results then for the first race of the day. Gordon Haig gets the win ahead of Daniel Downing. It is win number, what is it for Gordon Haig? 4. It's 4 for Gordon Haig. It's only win number 3 overall for Gordon Haig, but he is fighting for that championship alongside Daniel Downing, which is going into the final race of the season. It was then Daniel Downing in 2nd ahead of Oucher and Brown. Demis Titcherer takes home what is going to be win number 2 of the season for him in the semi-pro field ahead of Tony Walker, and Chris London comes home 7th overall, and for London it is win number 4 in that class. Stuart Gibbons takes home 8th overall ahead of Dec Crowther, and Vigard Olsen-Leah 10th in the race. It'll be pole position in the next one. Ronald de Jong, 11th position on the grid ahead, 11th position in the race. He will start 11th position on the grid in the next one as well. Ahead of Craig Walters, Bradley Sellers and Daniel Lewis. Fraser Garrity rounding out the top 15. Thomas Coombe taking home 4th in class in the end in your Pro-Am field. Ahead of Josh Taylor and Luke James. It is a 4th win of the season for Luke James. And it is back-to-back wins for him. And it is a great result for Luke James, in fact, in that one. Torburn Mail taking home 19th. Overall, Chris Evans rounding out the amateur podium. We then have a look behind. Carl Hardy sits in 21st ahead of David Price. And 23rd position is JB Deshay. Christian Larson, Matt Pearce, both a lap down. Points to their names crucially. Peter Van Gool, 26th ahead of Jack Brown. Not the way that either of those wanted the first race to go. Right, let's have a double check on your other championship standings as it stands. Bradley Sellers taking home, what was it in class for him? Overall for him, 13th position overall. He took home 40 points, which puts him on 811 points here. Tony Walker, who is, the only one really in a chance of this one, finished race number 1 in 6th position. He took 54 points. So for Walker, he sits on 700 and... I'm trying to do this off the top of my head now. 44. The gap between those is 70 points between them. Okay, the only way... No. That's it. Bradley Sellers wins. Bradley Sellers is your semi-pro champion provisionally on my points. He has taken that one. Great news for him. In your Pro-Ams then, Thomas Coombe. He was 571 points coming into this one. He took home 16th position, which is 35 points, which means he sits on 606 points, without bonus points, of course. I can't calculate the fastest laps or the pole positions. I haven't got that information with me. But the second position in that one, we've got David Price and Lucas Henschel fighting out. No Henschel here, so it's just David Price's result. Price did get involved in incident early doors. He only took 22nd in that one, which does mean that he only... he took less points, didn't he? 29 points, which means that he is sitting on 548 points. The gap is 50 points. What does that mean in terms of how many points they can offer if they finish in last? 27th position, 24 points. That means he needs... Thomas Coombe is your Pro-Am champion provisionally as well. So congratulations to Thomas Coombe. Finally, your amateur field of drivers. Let's check this one out. Matt Pearce took home 25th position. That'll be 26 points, which will put him on 498 points. Christian Larson coming home in 24th position. Took home 27 points, which put him on 448 points, which is 50... taking around that. And again, provisionally, Matt Pearce is your championship. So, in each of those championships, we can provisionally confirm Matt Pearce as your amateur champion, Thomas Coombe as your Pro-Am champion, and Bradley Sellers as your semi-pro champion. Your focus must turn to Daniel Downing and Gordon Haig. The difference between them, 11 points. 3 bonus points for fastest lap, of course. Then their race results. We'll keep an eye on that one. Let's talk you through then your race order for the final time on the grid here. It is going to be with our top 10 invert. Vigard Olsen-Leah from pole position. Dec Crowther will be starting alongside. And then Stuart Givens in 3rd. Chris London will be starting 4th ahead of Tony Walker. And Demis Titchler in 6th position. 7th is the way of John Brown, Ben Oucher in 8th, Daniel Downing in 9th position, and Gordon Haig rounds out your top 10 with your top 10 inverted from race 1. Then in our complete order from what they were from race 1, 11th position continues on as they finish. Ronald de Jong in 11th ahead of Craig Walters in 12th. Bradley Sellers in 13th, ahead of Daniel Lewis. Fraser Garrity in 15th. Thomas Coombe in 16th. Josh Taylor from 17th. And Luke James from 18th position. 19th will be Torburn Mail. Chris Evans from 20th. Carl Hardy will be 21st on the grid ahead of David Price. JB DeJay from 23rd ahead of Christian Larson. Matt Pearce from 25th. Peter Van Gool from 26th. And Jack Brown from the rear of your field. This is going to be interesting. Almost every time we've seen Vigard Olsen-Leah start from pole position in an inverted field of racing. He has ended up in a wall, upside down, in pit lane with some significant damage. We'll find out what happens here today. But for Vigard Olsen-Leah, he will be hoping he can take this one nice and easy towards the end. And with each of the championships confirmed outside of your pros, they are fighting, of course, for their... they are still fighting for class positions with drivers around them. But the championships are all but confirmed. They are provisionally champions. There's so much going on this evening. I need to take a big gulp of my drink before this one gets going, because I don't think I'm going to get a break in this invert. Because not only is it a top 10 invert, it is, of course, the final race of season number 11. If you want to get involved in season number 12, join us at the SRL Discord page. Links in the YouTube descriptions on both channels. And, of course, they are on our various screens as well. You can scan the QR code. We prepare to go racing here then for the final time in season number 11. Season 12 kicks off in just 1 week's time. 15 laps are what's expected in this final race. 25 minutes will be on the board instead of our 20 that we saw in race number 1. Vigard Olsen-Leah from pole position. Dec Clouther from second. Alongside our highest pro driver is John Brown, 7th on the grid. 25 minutes on the board for the final time this season. The lights are up, they're green, and we are racing for the last time in season 11, and it is 4 wide up towards turn number 1. Is everyone going to make it through? It looks like somehow, yes, everyone makes it through. Not a good start from Stuart Gibbons. He falls all the way down to 10th position at the start of this one. After starting in 3rd, he jumps to the inside of Daniel Downing. Crucially, Downing ahead of Haig. That is the fight we need to watch, is who comes out ahead between Haig and Downing. They both just got to avoid incidents in the early stages here. Big slide from Gibbons as he gets onto the grass. Manley Sellers then slides. That's your semi-pro champion. Provisionally, of course, running around there, looking to go side by side with Taylor to hold on to his position in 14th overall. Once again, lots of cars going 2 by 2 by 2 into some of these corners as we get the first lap over and done with. Everyone trying to make the move early doors. You actually got the toe later on, but it's still a tricky track to really get those overtake confirms on. We're getting up now towards the final few corners on the opening lap of Asking. It is Vigard Olsen-Leah. Hold on. Gibbons goes onto the gravel. It's contact with De Jong. De Jong has been in the wars here in his home race. He falls down behind Gibbons, and Geraghty could have Thomas Coombe now, provisional Pro-Am champion, who is coming through. But no, Coombe cannot make that position work. He has to stay behind in 13th. The first lap is done here in the final race of the season. Price and Jack Brown are going to have to come down pit lane to sort out some damage that they have picked up on the opening lap. We will have to have a jump back and see where that has gone on. Price is still out there right now. Even with this meatball flag, he's obviously feeling like he can drive the car, but he will get disqualified if he stays out for too long on that meatball. Peter Van Gool around the outside of Luke James has the position, now looking to try and get up past Price. Remember, Van Gool starts from the rear of the field, 26th place on the grid. After race 1. Issues, and there's more issues for Van Gool. He's just driven into by James, and Van Gool's final race of the season has not gone the way that he wanted. This is on board with Luke James. It's a slide, and then just a miss on the braking point there. Big contact. And it sends them both off the circuit. Van Gool out of this one, up at the front. For a moment, Crowther looked like he might be able to get past Olsen Leah. Crowther, sorry, it looked like he was about to get past Olsen Leah. Doesn't look like that is going to be the case though. So it was a bit of a change of position for just a moment. It then settled itself out. Olsen Leah holds on to the lead deck, holding on to second position ahead of Tony Walker, running around in third right now. But the gaps all the way down to 18th are no more than a second. Each of those intervals very, very close between each of their drivers right now. As they look for each of those positions, David Price does come down pit lane. And there's contact. Tony Walker's sideways. Ben Ouch is involved. Daniel Downing! Daniel Downing's involved! No! No! He's out! That's the championship! Daniel Downing is taken out of the final race of the season. The championship lead Daniel Downing had into this one. It was only 11 points. The only way he wins now is if Gordon Haig also retires. That is the only way that Downing can win this championship. Gordon Haig just needs to keep it clean. He just needs to avoid getting involved in accidents. And right now, he is in the thick of it. A huge slide from Demis Titular. Brown then gets up his inside. Geraghty's right there as well. Look at this gaggle of cars. Haig just needs to keep it clean. He just needs to avoid getting into an incident, and he will be champion. He's getting pushed by Geraghty up towards the timing line. Behind, it is cars looking for position. Ahead, it is cars looking for position. Titular on the outside. There's a big slide. Who's that dropping down? Chris London. He's got a meatball. He drops down, issues into turn one. No, he had that meatball before turn one. Yeah, he's had that meatball before turn one. He picked it up earlier on in the race. Right, Thomas Kuhn gets past Craig Walters. Good news for the Pro-Am champion. Ronald de Jong now behind Fraser Geraghty. Where is Gordon Haig? He's just up ahead here. But now, in front and behind, they seem to have sorted themselves out in all of this one. Right then, we are going to have a look. What happened in that accident that took out your championship leader? This is Daniel Downing. Oh, it's just a big hit ahead. It looked like Walker was wide. We'll go again, and we'll ride on forward here. Because it looked like Walker ran wide, came back across into Outra. It looked like that might have, let's not call it straight away yet, but let's just have a look here. Walker's deep. He then hits. Who does he hit? He hits Crowther. Outra then goes into him, slows him down. Downing goes in. Then the secondary contact with Walker just sends him around into the wall. And I mean, we'll watch that at full speed so you can see how little reaction time Daniel Downing had in all of this. Because it genuinely was such a small amount of time for Daniel Downing to act. And just watch, this is a championship being lost. Oh. He's out there on track. He's still getting points. He needs the points. He knows if something is to happen to Haig, he has the chance. It's the slimmest chance right now, but there is the chance. As it stands, Daniel Downing will be taking home points on this one. He will be taking home 26 points as it stands, which would be enough to go with 982 points. However, As it stands, Gordon Haig in 7th position will be taking home 52 points. It will put him on 997. It'll put him 15 points ahead. Even with 5 bonus points for Daniel Downing, it is only 10 points ahead. He needs something. It's then 10 points ahead. He needs something to happen to Gordon Haig here. So basically, Daniel Downing needs to get the fastest lap. That's what he's pushing for right now, is the fastest lap. And Gordon Haig needs to lose 10 further points. And for Haig, that means he needs to finish 13th. If he is to finish 13th or lower, Daniel Downing is to finish 25th with the fastest lap. Downing could still win it. Class fastest lap, not overall fastest lap. We just got to keep an eye on that one because there is still potential. John Brown, however, looking to try and take 5th away from Stuart Gibbons here, and certainly does so. He gets to the inside and moves up. Gibbons, though, all over the rear end of Brown. Looked like he was about to push him through the banking there, but they are all facing the right way. No contact between them, and they keep it all clear. A fight for the amateur podium. Matt Pearce wants some points onto the board for himself here ahead of Christian Larson, and tried to take a podium in the amateur class in the final round of the season. Of course, 9 class victories for Matt Pearce. Not only would you have said goodbye to him because he's winning the championship, I mean, you're going to say goodbye to him in the amateur field because he's won 9. We will definitely see him in at least the Pro-Am Championship next season. I think there's potential for the semi-pros. Today, I don't think his pace is really being shown. He's not had a lot of practice out there. But I do think the Pro-Ams for sure he'll be in next season. Bradley Sellers looks to the inside. Looked like he was about to do a big old dive on Fraser Geraghty. He keeps himself behind. He doesn't go for the huge dive to the inside. He keeps it all clean and keeps it all together. Through the final corner we go then. Bradley Sellers chasing down Fraser Geraghty. There were changes whilst we were looking at all of the replays for that accident with Daniel Downing. Ben Oucher has moved himself into the lead. Deck holds on to 2nd ahead of Tony Walker, who's now 3rd. Vigard Olsen-Lear has fallen to 4th, but he's still facing the right way. I mean, it's going better than it normally does for Vigard Olsen-Lear on a pole in invert. So we shall have to see if he can keep it going that way for the final 15 minutes of the season. Matt Pearce once again closing into Christian Larson, looking to try and take 20th position overall. It will be that podium position in class as we come through the dunes of Zandvoort. The sun getting lower and lower in the sky. It's been nice seeing some of the various lighting throughout this evening. We've seen the sun in the air, lower through practice qualifying. It's been quite nice actually to see that. Matt Pearce though is not thinking about the sun like I am. He's thinking about how he can move up into 20th position. I thought he was about to tuck up the inside. No, he's going to push himself around the outside. He goes for a completely different move than I was anticipating, and he gets the inside onto the back straight. Through goes Matt Pearce. Both drivers, Pearce and Larson, duck their tyres into the gravel. They both go though. It does look like Larson potentially giving up a slowdown because he just dropped a lot of time in that section behind. You've got David Price trying to keep Chris London at bay. They're 22nd and 23rd. Both of them have come down pit lane, of course, to get their cars repaired. 13 minutes left on the board, and looking at my predicted lap count, we've completed 7 laps of asking. We've got another 8 to go here as we come through turn number 1. It is going to be Vigard Olsen-Lear all under attack by John Brown. And just in the distance there, looked like Ronald de Jong was about to try and make the move up the inside of Gibbons. Remember that de Jong missed out on a podium in race 1, contact with Van Gool. Is he going to find the podium this time? He's 3rd in class. The leaders of the class are obviously Crowther and Walker just up ahead. That was once again Brown looking for a potential move on Olsen-Lear. It didn't come. Coombe is onto the grass on the outside of Demis Titchler. Here comes Craig Walters as well. Coombe gives up that position. He's thinking, okay, I might take the fight to you, but not right this moment in time. I am still on for this championship, and as I say, all but confirmed as a champion in all 3 classes, apart from your pro field. Keep an eye on Gordon Haig. He is not as high up as we thought he would be, but I don't think he's pushing anywhere near as hard. He finishes inside the top 12. As it stands, as long as no other drivers go out, he will take the championship here. There is potential, of course, because Daniel Downing is the fastest. He's getting 5 bonus points right now. He is going to have 987 points compared to Gordon Haig's 997 points. Where is... So, Downing's 25th right now, which means he is taking 26 points. If he was to take, he's taking 26 points, he needs 36. I mean, he's going to need quite a few drivers to retire. But if that maybe 3 drivers in front of him retires and Haig loses 3 positions, well, that's a championship. It's not gone yet for Daniel Downing, but it is very much on the brink of being gone. Imagine losing the championship to 10 points, and it's because of the final round of the season, the very last race. You're caught up in an accident that's not your fault. You're just an innocent party at the end of the incident, and it can lose you your championship. He's going to hope that Gordon Haig, I don't know, suddenly loses concentration, gets pile-driven, something to happen to Haig in order for him to fall down the order and to give Daniel Downing the real chance here. But Gordon Haig, he didn't have the strongest start to the season in terms of overall race results. He was there with Borkland. He was getting the results. He didn't take a class win until round 4, race number 2. He didn't take an overall win until Thruxton, race number 1. That was round 8. But Gordon Haig has just been quietly plodding along, following his teammate Borkland, and just pulling himself closer and closer and closer. And it is down to that consistency in both race 1 and race 2 from Gordon Haig that is putting him in this position right now. He does not need to try and get past anyone in front of him. He can just stay exactly where he is, and this championship is his. Tony Walker looks ahead to Deck Crowther and thinks, nah, I kind of want to win the semi-pro field, if you don't mind. I've taken 4 wins so far this season. I'd love to take another. Deck is looking at it and thinking, I don't know. This is the 20th race of the season, and I'm yet to take a class victory. Do you mind just keeping your Elantra a little bit further behind me, and I will go on to take race victory here, because that is exactly what the 167 machine wants to do. He wants to take the victory. Remember that it was these 2 drivers that initiated the issues with Ultra, the top 3 in fact, that initiated the incidents, that took out Downing. Imagine that. The top 3 in this race, all involved in the incident in some way, that took out Daniel Downing, and Downing is the only one not still at the front fighting. Oh, absolutely horrible feeling there. Craig Walters, though, what can he do? Try and take 6th away from them as Titchler, perhaps, in that semi-pro field. It'll be 10th overall if he's able to do it. Pull himself back up the order. Titchler, of course, off the back of a race 1 class victory. He'd love to try and find his way back up the order. He's fallen down a number of places towards the start here. London has had some issues within the last couple of laps as well. In fact, no, that was back on lap 4. I should say I'd scroll down a little bit too far when we jumped back to have a look at that earlier incident. Right, we come up towards turn number 1. Here's Walters going to make the move. He moves early doors to the inside. He does not want Titchler to defend, and he gets the inside into turn 1. Taylor gets past Hardy in the background. Walters confirms that move. Hardy tries to keep it to the inside of Taylor. Taylor holds the speed on the outside. And as we head up towards turn number 2, Hardy is on the inside line. Taylor pushes it wide. Is he going to rise up the circuit? No, he doesn't. That's going to give Hardy huge amount. Look at the power boost. It almost looks like he has just picked up a special boost in Mario Kart, the way that he exits that corner, because look at the speed and look at the gap he's just pulled over Taylor. Mail, the leader, amateur driver, almost went for attack on Josh Taylor as well. Couldn't quite work that one out though, and he will slot in behind for the time being. We head up towards the middle part of the circuit here. Mail leading the amateur field as we head around. John Brown over the rear end of Vigard Olsen-Lear. Olsen-Lear has done a great job holding on to 4th position and just, yes, losing out to that front pack, that's fine. But he is keeping Brown, Dion, Gibbons, Haig, Garrity all at bay. And actually what it is meaning is Haig is in the middle of this right now. If something was to happen in any of those drivers in front, just like Downing, he could get caught up in it. So, I mean, he's got, so I'm sure he's got everything crossed right now as he's driving, as has his teammate in Portland, just hoping that Portland can take the championship here. Taking that Hay can take the championship here. I'm sure that everyone in the Sim Racing Norway collection of teams are going to do the same as Brown dives to the inside of Olsen-Lear into turn 1. He's had enough of sitting behind the number 85 machine. Goes past the 26 machine. Sorry, no, I should say 26 machine goes past the 226 machine. Whoa! That was Ronald de Jong taken out in the same place as race 1, but the blame this time entirely on de Jong and for Vigard Olsen-Lear. It is written in stone. Shall he start on pole position, he so shall be taken out of the race. And he falls down the order, out of the top 10. He tumbles and tumbles and tumbles. Let's have another look at this one. Oh, do you know what? It's a hard one to judge, but Olsen-Lear is coming down and Titcheler's going up. I should say it was de Jong. No, it was de Jong going up, I should say. I think de Jong's very lucky, in fact, that he hasn't lost too much in all of this one. But I think that Olsen-Lear is coming down, de Jong's going up. But I would have to place the blame on de Jong. He was the overtaking driver, and there was definitely netcode there. I don't think you can discount the fact that there was some sort of connectivity thing there. However, judgment call to be made by stewards, of course. I think that was a de Jong issue in that one, pushing just too hard on that inside line when you know it's going to pull yourself up. Right, back to live pictures, because Daniel Lewis has gone to the inside of Vigard Olsen-Lear, looking to try and get up to 13th position, and he's going to do so. Vigard now dealing with some heavy damage on his machine, of course, following the contact. He's just fallen down the order. It's a real shame, in fact, for Olsen-Lear, who could have got could have got a class win. For Vigard Olsen-Lear, it would have been a second one of the season. He is now under attack from Hardy. There's more contact from Olsen-Lear. He wobbles, he keeps it straight, and now to the inside is Josh Taylor. There's more contact, oh my word. Olsen-Lear, I'm so sorry. I think I called this, didn't I? I said it. I said there was going to be contact. I said that he was going to fall down the order, and he plummets. He gets overtaken by Torban Mail there as well. It is just not his race, is it? I was going to say, though, that Stuart Gibbons is now leading the Pro-Am field. For Stuart Gibbons, he's looking for what would be race number 2 win of the season. Of course, he went for it in race 1 with... he went for it in race 1, trying to beat Chris London. He couldn't do so. It went the way of London, but could Gibbons do it here in race number 2? Well, he gets overtaken by Haig. Will they fight it out? Because Haig now looking for points from 5th. It'll be 56 points, and it will just once again cements that championship victory for Gordon Haig. He comes to turn number 1, and he leads the way once again here in this train. Oh, well, I say this train, in this now 2-car fight He runs in 5th position. He's a bit farther down behind the rest of the drivers. Ben Oucher looking for what would be overall win 4 of the season, but of course it won't be enough to be involved in the championship fight, unfortunately, for him. He just didn't take the points that he needed out of this one. He took 65 points out of the first race, and right now, even with the 75 points, he of course will only be taking a total of 140, and he was already sitting 127 points behind Kim Borkland going into this one. It does mean that Oucher will beat Borkland to 3rd though, so Ben Oucher will have 3rd in the championship and Borkland will fall to 4th position, but we shall just have to again wait until all the results are confirmed. With that, everything that I am saying is provisional. Fraser Geraghty wants to try and take the podium away from Ronald de Jong here in race number 2, the final race of the season, and the white flag is about to fly. It's all going to come to a close by the end of the next lap. Season 11 enters its white flag. We go on to the 15th lap of asking. Ben Oucher leads the way. Geraghty looking to try and take podium away from Ronald de Jong here in the semi-pro field. He's on the wider line. He's got his teammate Walters behind Sellers, who's chasing in. Geraghty moves to the right. De Jong holds the racing line. We head up towards the banking. Are they all going to run the wider line? Wider line from the front 3. It was Walters trying to tuck in towards the tighter line below. They're all going to stay that way though. JB Dejay has issues on the last lap of asking. It's for contact from Chris Evans. Contact from Chris Evans that takes Dejay out of the final race. Can Deck Crowther lead Tony Walker here up towards the line and take what would be a first win of the season in the final race of the season here at Zandvoort? It looks like it's going to go that way, but for Ben Oucher, it's going the best way possible. He took a podium in race 1, taking 3rd. And from 8th on the grid, he's avoided issues. He has got involved in a bit of contact. He was involved in the contact that took Downing's championship chances away. But Ben Oucher wins the final race. Deck Crowther is going to come home to take home 2nd. And Tony Walker rounds out the podium. But it is a winning class for Crowther. Gibbons will win the Pro Am Field for the 2nd time this season. But Gordon Haig is your champion, your overall and pro champion. Gordon Haig, he took 5th in the final race, but he wins the championship. Bradley Sellers is your semi-pro champion. Thomas Coombe is your Pro-Am champion. And Matt Pearce is your amateur champion. That is the way the season concludes. What a fantastic season of asking, and here are your final results of season number 11. Race victory for Ben Oucher, beating Deck Crowther and Tony Walker dominantly at the front of the order. A winning class for Crowther though. John Brown takes home 4th, Gordon Haig 5th position. It's enough for the championship with Daniel Downing all the way at the back of the field. It was then Stuart Gibbons winning your Pro-Ams, taking 6th overall, with Ronald de Jong in 7th, Fraser Geraghty in 8th, and Bradley Sellers in 9th. It was Craig Walters rounding out your top 10. Thomas Coombe took home 11th ahead of Daniel Lewis, Carl Hardy in 13th, and Josh Taylor 14th. Torburn Mayo won your amateur field, and for him it was a win number 2 of the season. Vigard Olsen-Leah behind its teammate in 16th overall. Chris Evans and Matt Pearce round out your amateur podium, and for Pearce it is an amateur championship. Dennis Ditchler finished in 19th ahead of Christian Larson. David Price finishing 21st ahead of Chris London. Deshay managed to get his car around in a bit of a slow state, but 23rd position. Luke James in 24th ahead of Daniel Downing, out of the race early with the same two drivers that went out of race 1, Jack Brown and Peter Vankel. What a season it has been. We will be back again next week for round 1 of season 12. That's right, we are already going to have round number 1 of season 12. But before we move on to next season, we've got to talk to a few people through the end of this one. It's got to be your big 4 names, haven't you? We'll get the best. We'll do our best to try and pull all of them in to the booth here, and we have to start with the man that. Well, it came down to the very end of it for Gordon Haig. He was behind going into the final race of the season. Contact taking out Daniel Downing. The consistency has been the game for you, Gordon Haig. You are the pro and overall champion.
Thank you. This was a crazy race. I mean, the second heat here, I saw Downing was taken out, and I knew if I just survived to the end, I probably would have the championship. So, I mean, Brown was defending. Of course, she should. He's on team with Downing, and then I had this crazy De Jong guy behind me, and I just decided I have to let him go and just try to. It's a long time since Adrian so slow, but I had to secure it, so I couldn't be taken out.
Definitely, it was a race of just getting to the end when you got to the end there. And to be fair, this season, it took a while for you to take your first win of the season, especially your first overall win, which you only got a few weeks ago. Pole positions have been coming your way thick and fast throughout the season. You've had the pace. It's not always reflected in the race, but today just proved it doesn't always need to be a race victory. You have become a champion with taking, over the course of the season, 3 overall victories. That's all you've achieved in 20 races, but it's been enough because your consistency has been there.
Yeah, and of course, Kim didn't attend this last race. It was very bad for him. He's away, and he couldn't erase or, he couldn't make it. What you call that? We have 2 races that we can.
The drop weeks, of course, and no drop week in this last one.
No. So that was very bad for him. And of course, Downing, he had the fastest round in the first heat, so I knew I had to have a car between me and him if I should have a chance of winning. And then too bad for him. He was I don't know what happened there, but I saw he went in the wall, and and then it was just surviving for me, really.
And it survived, and it brought you a championship. You say, of course, Kim was not able to defend, but I'm sure he'll be looking on very happy that his teammate was able to become the champion. Gordon Haig, you've stepped into this season for the first time, and you are walking away our champion. Well done.
Thank you.
Gordon Haig there, coming home. Race number 1, victory. Race number 2, it was 5th position. It was enough to be the champion. We jump now across to your semi-pro field because it is going to be a championship for Bradley Sellers. You are going to be our semi-pro champion here in season number 11. It was not the easiest of final weeks for you, but you've shown the consistency, the pace over the course of the season, and you had the points advantage going into this one. You managed to hold on to it.
Yeah, thanks very much. I definitely made it difficult for myself, but I just came into tonight thinking I've just got to finish both races. I've just got to stay clean, get to the end, and just do what I can.
And it was, again, not the best of evenings this evening in terms of overall race results, but the points were there for you. Of course, throughout this season, you've taken 3 class victories over the course of the season. It's been enough to pull you onto the front. You've been at the top of the order for quite some time. You've shown the pace. I mean, this season has been brilliant for you as you come in and step in and see what you can do. I mean, it seems to be the name of the game. New names, straight into being champion this season. I mean, it's been fantastic to see you race there. How do you feel about taking that championship now?
Oh, it feels fantastic. I wasn't really expecting anything when I came to this because I've not been on iRacing for a while, and I was looking for some touring car racing to do. I found this, and I thought I'll give it a go. And I've really enjoyed it. The racing's fantastic. The people are fantastic. It's a really good atmosphere as well.
It is, and it does mean, of course, I'm hoping we will it'll be lovely to see you. In fact, I do look, you are joining us next season. You won't be fighting with these semi-pros anymore. You'll be stepping up into the pro game. How do you feel about that, trying to level up even further and take that fight to the front of the field?
I was hoping I wouldn't get promoted, but I guess I have to now, don't I? So I'll just have to practice a bit more, get better at the cars. I have struggled a bit this season at certain points, but I've also had really good results as well at certain tracks. So I'll just see what I can do.
Indeed, it's been lovely having you out there, Bally. Congratulations on the Semi-Pro Championship.
Thank you very much.
And then we get to talk to a man that was so disappointed last season because he fell short in the Amateur Championship in the final round of asking. Thomas, you've not fallen short. You are the Pro-Am champion for season number 11 as you stepped into the class for the first time.
Yeah, I can't believe it. It feels so good. After missing out on the finale last season, it motivated me more to be smart with how I was racing more this season. The start of the season wasn't great up until about round 4, but then once I got that sort of overall podium at Imola, that was sort of where my season turned, and I started getting some really good results. But yeah, I'm just so happy to get it across the line this time and not lose it right at the end.
It's been lovely seeing you out there every week and just pushing towards the very front of the order. Again, last season it was a bit of disappointment. You fell down at the last hurdle. You didn't do that this season. You've taken that fight all season long. How do you feel about approaching season number 12 as we step into it? Do you think that you can take the fight again? I mean, likely to see you up into the semi-pros for next season. How do you feel about taking the fight? Because, of course, you stepped into the Pro-Ams. You were right at the front. What do you feel?
Yeah, I think maybe if I do get moved up to semi-pros, which I assume I probably will, I think I can compete in that class. I mean, my qualifying today, I was right up there. And there's been a few other rounds where I've been like up towards the sharp end of semi-pro as well. So I'm hoping that if I do move up, that I can be competitive. The guys that are in semi-pro, I race with them quite a lot in both this league and others as well. So I know I can be on pace with them. So yeah, I mean, if I've gone from being an AM class to Pro-Am champion in one season, so why can't I do it again?
Wow, congratulations, Thomas, for stepping into this season and becoming the Pro-Am champion.
Thank you.
Thomas Kuhn there. Great season for him. And we'll jump now to our final champion of the season. It's the driver who just hid himself behind in the first few rounds of the season and then really showed the pace going into Silverstone. 7 wins in a row, 9 wins over the course of the season. Not the best end to the season, but the points went your way, Matt. It has been a fantastic championship for you.
Yeah, I knew that I wouldn't have pace at all this final round. Basically, having like major PC problems during this week and everything else. And basically, I had no practice. My practice for this round was the practice this evening, so I knew my pace wouldn't be there at all. So the aim of the game tonight was to stay as close as I could to Christian, and obviously he and I unfortunately both had incidents in race 1, and then managed to stay close in race 2 and put the pass on him. So yeah, really chuffed to get. I think I've got the title. My first season with SRL and my first season TCR. So yeah, really chuffed at how it went.
Yeah, championship is yours for sure. And yeah, to do it in your first. To be fair, 3 championships all given to drivers stepping into SRL for the first time. There is no way you're going to hide yourself from the Pro-Ams at the very least next season. So how do you feel like going into that one? You have got the pace course. There has been a few weeks where you've been slightly towards the back end where you haven't been able to get that practice. Do you think that next season, potential fight for the championship in the Pro-Ams, or is it more a learning season?
No, I definitely think I've got the pace to definitely run the Pro-Ams. I think I just need to commit and put the time in the sim and put the practice in. Because what I found is, not practice doesn't make perfect, but I've found a big difference between the rounds which I've put the time into the sim and got myself ready for the race, and then my pace has kind of come to me. So next season, stepping up to Pro-Ams, I definitely want to put a fight to him and fight for the championship.
Well, Matt, it's been great seeing you out there. So many class victories over the course of the season, and in the end, you are our amateur champion. Congratulations.
Thanks, Joe.
Matt Pierce there. Absolute fantastic season he's having. He's had, I should say. The season coming to a close now. And we'll end it all off with one of my favourite people to talk to, because John Brown, one of our league organisers here at SRL, he came home with a very nice result. But what a lovely season at competition it's been, John. And we prepare for season number 12. Next week it kicks off, of course.
Indeed, yes, yeah. So if anybody is interested in taking parts, head over to the Discord. Link is in the description of this video. And either ask us some questions or get signed up.
Indeed. You yourself, though, you've had a nice season. Let's not skirt over that. You have found yourself inside the top 5 by the end of it, of course. You were out of that that championship fight between the top 4, but you were consistently putting in some great results. You had a lovely fight in the last one. Of course, you put a massive defense on with Gordon Haig, trying to help out Downing following his demise. It wasn't quite enough. But seeing you just putting really aggressive moves out there today, it's been lovely to see.
Yes, yeah. At the start of that second race, I saw an opportunity to let Daniel pass and hopefully get in front of Gordon and maybe defend him a bit longer, which Daniel took the opportunity, and I was holding up Gordon. We had a bit of contact there and he got past, but then obviously there was a big crash up at the front there, which I luckily managed to avoid. But Daniel, I didn't see what happened, but Daniel was that was the end of his race, so it was unfortunate.
A real shame for him to lose out the championship that way, of course. But it means we don't have to wait too long. We don't have to dwell on things. We can go back out racing next season. Of course, we do have a number of drivers that we're looking at and thinking, okay, we're going to see a few more drivers in the pros. I think there could be a few more names out there fighting it with you. So how do you feel heading into the next season? We start at Suzuka. We've got some great circuits. Brands Hatch GP, one of my favourite circuits out there that we've got. We've got a driver choice next season as well. So how are you feeling about next season? Do you think that maybe if you could find yourself a little bit towards the front again, you could be within that championship fight towards the end?
We'll have to see who signs up, won't we? There's some really quick. I can't hang with the really quick guys. I think my semi-pro is probably where I would be more comfortable. But this season we had too many people that were probably a little bit slower than me, so I got bumped up to the pros, and I don't mind. I'm just there for a fun race. So if we get some really quick drivers and I can get down to semi-pro, then maybe a championship might be on the cards.
Well, you hear it. If you're quick out there, come on in. So John might be able to win a championship next season.
Yeah, as many really quick drivers as possible, please. I want to be moved down.
Right, John, great racing today, though, in both race 1 and race 2. You took 4th in both. I mean, consistency, it's key. You took 4th in both one, and a 5th in the championship.
Yep, I had a couple of really good races today. A bit of battling. Obviously, at the end there, Vigard was putting up a good fight. I wanted to make sure of a definite overtake rather than half a chance. I think my overtaking him was a little bit perhaps robust. But he was putting up a good defence. I didn't want to kill anybody because obviously I didn't really have a championship to win, and other people I wasn't sure who did in the AMs with or semi-pros with the V-Guard would be in with the shots. I don't keep in. I look at the scores. That's Daniel's job. But I didn't want to kill anybody. But had some really good battles tonight. Stuart as well. I was side by side with Stuart for a bit and bumper to bumper with him. It was some really good racing tonight. Both races were really good fun for me. I really enjoyed it.
Great result for 4th in both and 5th in the championship, John.
Thank you.
John Brown there. Absolutely fantastic run through this evening and through the season. But that is all for season number 11. It's a shame it's all come to a close and it's all come to an end, hasn't it? But it has. The 10 rounds have finally come to a close here in season number 11. We put the season to rest, and we ourselves have a rest for 6 days, because next Friday we get going for season number 12. Round number 1 kicks off at Suzuka for the SRL TCR League. If you haven't gone and signed up already, head across to the Discord's links in both the YouTube channels, and of course they'll be on the end screen as well with a QR code. If you are watching over on the Joseph White Broadcasting channel, stick around, because in about 10 minutes' time we'll be live for the first round of the Matt Malone Patron League. You can see that over at 11:15 on the Joseph White Broadcasting YouTube and Twitch pages. If you're watching over on SRL TV, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you in a week's time when the next season of competition kicks off. We'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.